Welcome to the Political Matrix News. Politics, people, local, regional, national news. Political Matrix News keeps you informed. We have the sources, we have the truth from inside the Political Matrix.
Welcome to the Political Matrix Podcast. This is Mike Bates, and Greg Fink is with us as well.
Hello. How you doing today?
I am doing great.
So I guess we're
not
back.
in need of a $500 million bond. That's a good thing.
Why not? What did you not do that Trump did?
I haven't been politically persecuted like President Trump has been.
Persecuted? I mean, you don't think he laid it up for him? I mean, no. I think this whole idea was about him inflating property values and inflating his corporation's value and assessments and everything else to get more loans and to get more funding for projects. And I mean, I don't know any other Joe Q that can do that.
Well, the truth of the matter is, Greg,
was it normal?
It's normal. Every businessman goes into a situation where when his assets need to be high, he places them as high as he can get away with.
Yeah,
I don't mean breaking the law to get away with, but as high as they can. But when they need to be low, you go low as you can get away with it. I'll give you a perfect example. I owned a business years ago. I owned it for 18 years. And we had reasons to renew that loan because, like most business loans, you got a short term with a balloon payment, okay, because it keeps the monthly reasonable. And when it came time to renew that, we would have to get an appraisal. And we would pay for the appraisal. And I would always tell the appraiser, hey, I need this property to be valued as high as you can reasonably value it. I am not asking you to lie or defraud anybody. But if there's any wiggle room, I would like you to wiggle to the high end. And he said, understood. Right. And to my knowledge, that's what happened. I mean, he didn't say, oh, it's really worth this, but I'm going to add X percent. That conversation never happened. So whatever he gave, he gave. And our loans were renewed and, we were fine with that. But there were other situations where you wanted it to appear like it wasn't worth as much. And so you'd say, okay, well, on the low end, there's multiple ways to value a business. One is multiple of cash flow, right? Well, that's one way of doing it, but there's plenty of other ways. Sometimes it's a percentage, a multiple of gross sales. I mean, there's lots of things. Sometimes it's the real estate. There's lots of factors that go into that. And depending on which formula you use, you're going to get different valuations. Well, I'm not denying that Donald Trump appraised, or perhaps that's too strong of a word, but put down as the value of his properties the highest numbers he thought he could get away with. But that does not constitute fraud.
No, well, what it does, I mean, it's a pattern of his. I mean, he likes to talk about how large his crowds are, how large his audience is, how large the size of everything else is, how large his value is. I mean, his whole pattern is exaggeration, exaggeration, exaggeration. And I think this time a judge caught him on it.
No. He was no judge. He was no judge at all. Letitia James, the attorney general.
Right.
Well, actually, she's not even an attorney general. She's actually a prosecutor of Manhattan, even. I mean, It's not even the state attorney general. So she is a partisan bitch who announced in her campaign that she would go after Trump and she would take him down. She did not go after the crime and investigate the crime. She went after the man and found the crime. That's what happened in the Soviet Union.
Giuliani did the same thing about saying he's going to go after the mob. And basically, this lady here is comparing, Trump to the mob. So she was going after, and Giuliani campaigned based on that. Or he ran for mayor. I mean, ran for president. Is that, he was going after to stop crime. And in her opinion, if she thinks that Trump is, doing all this here, criminal activity and everything else, I mean, maybe she should have a reason to go after him in the same manner.
Well, you do know none of that was criminal, right? It was entirely a civil case. It wasn't criminal. You do know that, right?
Yeah, I do that, yes.
Right. So the mob, that was criminal. That was criminal. They had specific statutes that were violated.
I understand that, but whenever she's running for office, these people make promises, or sometimes unintended, inability to keep them, or they let the truth get it out of the way and everything. At the same time, she had her whole idea that she's going after her reelection or her campaign, whatever it was. She's going to go after Trump in the same manner. So she does have
was pure political persecution
It was persecution. You're correct.
And it is shameful that she was able to get away with it. And it is
New
shameful
York.
that, I know it's New York, but it's still shameful that she got away with it. It's shameful what Jack Smith is doing. It is shameful what is happening in Atlanta with Fonnie Willis. I mean, that's actually, of all of them, that's the worst case of all.
Right.
There's not a single crime that Donald Trump even is alleged. Even if you read the indictment of what Donald Trump allegedly did in Fulton County, there's not a single crime he's accused of doing. Not one.
So what's right now?
The entire thing says, well, he did the following, and I think the number was 42. Don't hold me to that.
Right.
But he did the following actions, and they listed. Not a single one of them was a crime, but taken together, well, that's racketeering. That was the worst of all. But getting back to New York, the problem is that he now has to put up a $484 million. I mean, it's nearly a $500 million bond in order to appeal this. And he can't get a bonding agency to bond him because most of them have a $100 million cap. And so they've refused. He's even tried to say, well, let's get 5 different ones to each do $1 million. And they've all refused to do that because when you're on the hook for one, you're on the hook for all. Right. And then the left, of course, they're celebrating this. Oh, Donald Trump, ha ha, he's going down. We're going to padlock Trump Tower. We're going to lock him out of his house. Oh, he's not a billionaire. He's been lying. We've ruined him. We've broken him. He's a pauper. Oh, he's going to go bankrupt. Well, here's the thing about all of that. The problem that Trump is having is that, like most billionaires and even millionaires, the value, the wealth, is not liquid. It's not cash.
No,
it's not negotiable instruments. It's typically real estate. Even stocks would be liquid at least, but it's real estate. And he's got real estate valued. Even Forbes says $2.9 billion, which I know is a lot less than what Trump says, but even Forbes says it's $2.9 billion net, by the way. That's not gross, $2.9 billion net. But the bonding companies won't take real estate as surety against the bond.
No, they won't.
So the whole system has been stacked against him. And understand, this is coming from a guy who doesn't want Trump to be reelected. So I'm not Trump's the greatest. We've got to defend him at all costs. Trump has been vilified in the press ever since he came down that escalator in 2015. They've lied about him repeatedly. And now the Democrat left in dark, dark blue cities have been going after him criminally and civilly, and it's ridiculous. And the lawfare that is being committed against the leading candidate for the presidency of the United States is atrocious. They are deliberately timing this so that he can't be on the campaign trail. They are deliberately timing this so that he's spending his time, money, and effort defending himself in court instead of making his case to the American people out on the campaign.
Right.
And that is atrocious. That is not something that is done in the United States of America.
You're right.
That's something that's done in banana republics when you persecute and prosecute and you imprison your enemies. You don't do that in the United States.
No, you don't.
I think it's disgraceful. I actually can't tell you what I honestly think because I'd get a visit from the authorities. It is atrocious what the left has done to Donald Trump. Coming from me, I want to restate, I don't like the guy, okay? But he doesn't deserve what he's getting.
I mean, he is getting. I mean, the deal he is getting it correct. I mean, I've never seen a judge do the exact, to rule in the manner that they're ruling. I mean, in fact, nobody's ever heard of it. I mean, it's unprecedented. Banned the entire idea that this is getting away. And the media is actually deciding. There is actually some people in the media who are actually in the liberal media, mind you, are actually starting to realize that this is all bullshit and that there's something that just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I actually heard this morning they were talking about the people who got arrested on January 6th, and that how it was interesting that there were 700 people who pled guilty, yet not one single person was tried with or charged with what's it called? Insurrection.
Oh, I read about that a long time ago. Absolutely.
I know. We all know about that, but it came from ABC News and NBC News also, both this morning. And so I was surprised that they're actually starting to catch up to the reality that there's something, different here.
Well, you know why that is, right? You know why that is, right? You know why that is, right?
Why?
It's because the Supreme Court unanimously said that Colorado could not, and therefore other states, could not kick Trump off the ballot based on the 14th Amendment's insurrection disqualification clause. So when the leftist media, and that's what they are in this country, when they were able to promulgate that myth that Donald Trump was an insurrectionist and therefore was disqualified from the ballot, when they were able to promulgate that myth, well, they had to back it up. But now that it's been proven to be complete nonsense, even though, let's be clear, the Supreme Court didn't say Trump didn't engage in insurrection. They just said it wasn't relevant. What was relevant was simply, can states do this and can states not do this? And states cannot do this. Only Congress can, because that's what the 14th Amendment's 5th section says, okay? Which I also predicted in the future, because it's not that hard. The Constitution is really not that hard to understand and interpret if you look at it objectively. But anyway, now that they can't argue that insurrectionist thing, they can finally tell the truth. Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
Now that they're not trying to deceive, they're actually telling the truth. Shocking. The problem is there's still plenty of deception they intend, which is why there's plenty of lies yet to come.
And that's a good way to end this segment here real quick. And when we come back, we'll be talking about the Supreme Court some more. So you guys just please stay tuned to Political Matrix News. Bye-bye.